The attacker in the California bar shooting has been identified. Police say he's a 28-year-old former U.S. Marine veteran and long had minor run-ins with law enforcement in recent years. Officials added that .45 caliber handgun was the only weapon used in the attack. The shooter was likely to shoot himself when this incident happened. So far, the motive behind the attack is not confirmed. 12 people, including a police officer, have been killed in the deadly shooting. All right, for more on this, I'm joined by Wion correspondent Kevin McAleese, who's joining us live from Washington, D.C. Kevin, thank you so much for joining us on the broadcast. The shooter has been identified. Could you please give us more details about him?
Yes, another day, another mass shooting in the United States, this time in a town in an area which actually recently had been listed as one of the safest in that vast state of California. Well, it wasn't last night because 12 people, we understand, lost their lives, including a brave police sergeant who tried to engage with the shooter, who we now understand is Ian Long, a 28-year-old former Marine. As you said, we don't know of a motive yet. We don't know what drove this man to step inside that bar, a bar which was packed full of students late in the evening and other members of the public, where he then obviously opened fire. We know that he used a Glock handgun for this attack. That's designed, authorities say, to hold up to 10 rounds, including one in the chamber. It's worth pointing out that statistically this is the 307th mass shooting in the United States this year alone. The definition of mass shooting here is when 4 lives are lost in a single incident. Again, 307 alone this year, and we've still, weeks till the end of the year. It shows you just how serious a problem this continues to be for the United States. We have heard from the president on Twitter this morning. He said that he had been fully briefed on the shooting in California, and he outlined the latest numbers surrounding that, and he also obviously highlighted the bravery of that fallen police sergeant as well.
Right, Kevin, that's a huge number that you're saying, 307 as far as shootings in America are concerned. For the benefit of our viewers, could you give us more details about the victims who've lost their lives and who have been injured in this shooting? Were they essentially students? Because the university was very close by and it was believed that a get-together of sorts was happening. Could you give us a background of this attack and who exactly were these victims?
Well, obviously the victims are still being identified and named, so we're learning all the time a bit more information about exactly what took place and whose lives have been lost and affected by this tragic shooting. But yes, this is a university town. The shooting took place at 11:20 p.m. local time, and this was a bar that was open till 2 a.m. So it was packed full of, you'd expect, students. We saw scenes from outside the shooting, young people consoling one another, weeping, some covered in the blood of victims as well. There are also thought to be a number of off-duty police officers. It's not known if they were armed or not, but we're still getting the details through. But this was a packed venue. It was a country music night where people get together and they dance as they're heading towards the end of the week, enjoying themselves. And obviously that was brought to an abrupt end when this 28-year-old former Marine, the suspect that's now been named, walked in with a handgun and began opening fire. First of all, killing the security on the door and then targeting people inside. You can imagine the panic that then ensued. There were stories involving windows being smashed so people could try and escape and run away from the fire and the threat.
All right, thank you so much, Kevin, for getting us those updates. The latest that we're getting is that the gunman has been identified. As far as the dastardly shooting in California is concerned, 12 people have lost their lives and we don't know the motive yet. The gunman has been identified as a 28-year-old Marine in the US, and we're getting some reactions. Let's listen in.
We have identified the suspect. Approximately an hour ago, the suspect was identified as Ian David Long, I-A-N, David Long, birth date of March 27th, 1990. He was 28 years old. He is a veteran. He was in the United States Marine Corps. The weapon used in this horrific shooting was a Glock 21 .45 caliber handgun. The handgun is designed to hold, in California, 10 rounds and one in the chamber. This weapon did have a extended magazine on it. We do not know at this time how many rounds were actually in the weapon or how many rounds the magazine could actually hold, because it's still being processed as part of the evidence.